Saginaw, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Vegas, hot Atlanta, the Philly suburbs, Manchester, Dallas, and Houston. Donald Trump, as far as we can tell, has just been trying to win a third championship at his own golf course. My question to you, sir, can voters trust a presidential candidate who has not won a single Trump International Golf Club trophy? At long last, sir, have you no chip shot?
Well, look, I'd be happy to play. I told him once before when he came into the Oval, before he got sworn in, I said, I'll give you 3 strokes if you carry your own bag.
The world that is on fire. I mean, are you kidding me? ISIS is back already, and our southern border is wide open to the tune of millions.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not going to let a bunch of people in. It's focused on actually turning people around on it. It is interesting. Republicans 4 months ago would not give funding for Ukraine, for Israel, and for our southern border because we demanded changes in policy.
In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so?
I want to talk about how the immigration bill being completely thrown out is exactly the same as what Republicans did with Obamacare. Because these people don't give a fuck.
Today, we continue to have a government. You see, last week, House Speaker Mike Johnson worked with Democrats to pass a funding bill to avoid a shutdown. It was a bipartisan effort to ensure basic government function.
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
The Sweet 16 round of NCAA's March Madness basketball tournament is set to begin. Hey, no, you get out of here. It's a different Sweet 16.
We made a promise to the country that we would not end up with a Democrat speaker, and I was right. I couldn't make that promise again today.
Johnson's job is safe.
It is.
So naturally, that enraged Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, seen here after spotting a 3-legged poodle at the dog parade.
That's how we lose the majority, not because Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to vacate against a Republican speaker that betrayed everyone.
What Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, Thomas Massey, were saying was that, they want to look around to see who could be a replacement speaker.
It's a bad day for the country, for anybody that votes for this.
Now I'm going to move to an area which might be a little tricky for a House Republican like yourself. Mike Gallagher leaving next month. Congressman Ken Buck, he says it's dysfunction. He's gone. The majority is down to just one. Seems like Republicans are in complete disarray. You can't do anything.
Obamacare was written giving Republicans everything they wanted. They said that it couldn't be a government-paid thing, that it has to be paid by the employers, and they said that it had to be required. And the only way they would support it is if those things were in the bill. And they were. And then at the last minute, they pulled the plug. Thank God we had enough votes to get it done. But it was one hell of a fight. And thanks to John McCain, they couldn't even kill it when they tried.
And you might have to have some whipping going on here where Tom Emmer, as the nominee, he is the whip, needs to make sure that he has the votes lined up. I mean, if you're the whip, you're supposed to be able to count the votes right on a vote on the floor. And, sometimes that's been an Achilles heel for Republicans lately.
Yeah, you know who did it well? Boy, she could count votes. Nancy Pelosi.
In caucus, that we're able to resolve that so that we go unified to the House floor and deliver a speaker.
I hope you don't take this personally, but do you guys have any idea how clownish you look?
But that's not what this video is about. Republicans don't know how to take a win. Because Republicans don't know how to govern. They have no idea. Hell, they don't know how to write legislation. Maybe that comes when you have a bunch of people who barely finished high school.
So George, when I was teaching law school, I learned and taught certain constitutional principles. When Marjorie Taylor Greene was teaching CrossFit, she learned a whole different set of values, evidently.
Another member of Congress resigned today. So now I'll be told, Chip, we only have a 1-seat majority or 2-seat majority. I don't even know what it is anymore. Let me ask you a question. Does it matter? In 2018, we had the House, we had the Senate, we had the White House, and we had a bigger majority than we have today. And we utterly failed to secure the border. Totally dropped the ball.
You got a bunch of people who never finished high school.
Republican Congressman Lauren Boebert is once again taking credit for federal funding for Colorado projects that Boebert actually voted against. Boebert's office sent out a news release bragging about her role in securing funding for projects like highway safety improvements and water reservoir construction in southern Colorado. Boebert requested that funding through the earmark process, which is when members of Congress add local projects to bigger spending bills. In this case, Boebert's earmarks were part of the government spending bill that passed in early March. Boebert is one of 40 Republicans who obtained earmarks and then voted against the bill. She was out calling it, quote, swamp omnibus bill, and said that it funded Democratic priorities.
Place just keeps going downhill, and I don't need to spend my time here. We've taken impeachment and we've made it a social media issue as opposed to a constitutional concept. Mike Johnson's ability to talk me into staying here is going to be about as successful as his ability into talking me into unconstitutional impeachments.
Republicans don't understand how negotiation works. Because it's not about negotiation. It's not about compromise. It's about owning the libs. So that's what this is. They never had any intention of actually voting for an immigration bill that Joe Biden would later sign. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, you know, the rap against your party, sir, is that you don't know how to negotiate. You're lousy at it, and you have a track record where the Democrats constantly seem to get the better of you. How do you answer that?
Well, I think it's because the Democrats have they do a good job about staying together, and the Republican Party, it's like trying to herd cats. Everybody's going different directions.
They were lying, and any Democrat who believes these people ever again is stupid, because they are liars.
It's time to pack it up.
RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged
You
under
have charges.
A long 100.
You have charges. Sir, please
Want me to name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very kindly. With any luck, today marks the end of perhaps the most spectacular failure in the history of congressional investigations.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help you out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it.
My God, the immigration bill had every single thing they wanted. It was a gimme. It was a laundry list, a wish list of everything they ever wanted. It was the most powerful and strongest immigration bill in the history of America. But they don't want to shut down the border. They don't want actual problems to be solved. My God, Republicans need enemies. And their favorite enemy is the brown people. And if all of a sudden the brown people aren't the enemy, what the fuck are they going to run on?
Right. Turning to the president, is the Biden impeachment now unlikely?
I think it's increasingly unlikely, especially with another GOP House member who, by the way, was a vote against this, Ken Buck, saying that he's out even sooner than expected. I think Republicans are trying to be realistic with the margins that they have, but I think the impeachment vote getting to the floor, a little bit less likely today.
Well, I can tell you right now what we're going to run on. Joe Biden is one of the greatest presidents in American history. I don't give a fuck what y'all think. He is.
You understand why I'm asking, right? Kevin McCarthy abandoned you, Ken Buck abandoned you, and Mike Gallagher just announced on Friday that he's going to resign on April the 13th. You got a 1-vote majority. What's going on in the House?
It was all going down. I guess that didn't cause you to rethink your decision?
Not at all. Not at all. No rear view mirror. Happy to move on. Dysfunctional place.
I mean, you must have been pretty intensely frustrated to not only not run again, but to leave early. And you're not alone, obviously. Mike Gallagher just said he's leaving too.
Yeah. Well, since this Congress started, There have been efforts to impeach the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the President, the Attorney General, the FBI Director, and in fact did impeach the Director of Homeland, Secretary of Homeland Security. Serious problems with setting priorities. We have a very tragic circumstance in Ukraine. We have a spiraling debt. All kinds of out of control problems, and we focus on messaging bills that get us nowhere.
Republicans are going to shut down the government because they don't know how to govern, and they're going to hold the line. So we'll see how it goes.
It was not a Republican bill. This was a Democrat bill.
Yeah, but people even in your own party are attacking you, saying we do not need more division. I mean, after all, Congressman, look how many people have left. Ken Buck stepping down, Mike Gallagher stepping down. And Mike Gallagher is leaving at a time that even makes things tougher for the Republicans, right? He's leaving early, isn't he?
Disgraced former Congressman George Santos announced last week that he plans to run for a Long Island House seat as an independent, also a Republican, a Democrat, and a Libertarian.
I hear about the so-called victimless crimes, but the laws on the books, falsification of business records in second degree, issuing false financial statements, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and all these different aspects of it, those are actual crimes. I take it your point is that these should not have been prosecuted?
Everything you just listed off is done by every real estate developer everywhere on earth in every city. This has never, ever been prosecuted.
It's time to be honest about the vaccine injured. And we need to stop allowing these COVID-19 vaccines to be given out to children.
Gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize Mr. Garcia from California for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry you all had to go through that. That was a lot of conspiracy theories and wild accusations.
That's how we lose the majority, not because Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to vacate against a Republican speaker that betrayed everyone worse than any Republican speaker in decades. That I'm not the problem here.
What's it going to be? The people who block any bill from ever happening that might actually help the problem? Or the people that saved America? Look at the jobs. Look at the employment. Look at the economy.
Now I'm going to move to an area which might be a little tricky for a House Republican like yourself. Mike Gallagher leaving next month. Congressman Ken Buck, he says it's dysfunction. He's gone. The majority is down to just one. Seems like Republicans are in complete disarray. You can't do anything. How's this going to play out in November?
Well, look, at the end of the day, I think real voters outside of the Beltway inside Washington drama, they're focused on the price of eggs, the price of gas.
Donald Trump's allies have now ordered mass layoffs at the Republican National Committee. It comes just days after Trump's allies, including his daughter-in-law, took command of the RNC. Headlines calling it a, quote, bloodbath and a, quote, mob-like takeover.
Trump's own daughter-in-law is now the co-chair of the RNC, and she's acting on a mandate to divert RNC committee spending away from down-ballot races, for instance, and toward stuff important to her and her father-in-law, Trump's various legal fees.
Every single penny will go to the number one and the only job of the RNC. That is electing Donald J. Trump as president of the United States.
And we'll see how it goes. What are Republicans going to run on? Stormy Daniels is being mean to him? We'll see how that goes. Y'all take it easy. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal.
And in light of all that, I'd like to make a brief public service announcement. This is up.
Well, you know, the rap against your party, sir, is that you don't know how to negotiate. You're lousy at it, and you have a track record where the Democrats constantly seem to get the better of you. How do you answer that?
Well, I think it's because the Democrats have they did a good job about staying together, and the Republican Party, it's like trying to herd cats. Everybody's going different directions.
Is impeachment the next step? Are you going to hold a vote on the House floor? I know it's up to Mike Johnson, but the margins, Congressman, you lost Kevin McCarthy. Ken Buck left last week. George Santos was ousted. unless you get Democratic votes, this is going to be real tough. So it kind of seems like you're chasing your tail at this point because this is not going to go anywhere.